Hi everyone, it's Jessica. I just wanted to pop on here to show you the recording sheets that come with your Scholastic Kit. Your kit comes with several different book choices for each level. You can see what level they are on the front right corner, and then on the back you can see if it is a fiction or nonfiction book. I believe up through level F you get 4 choices, and then after that it drops down to 2. Also, with each book comes a 2-page recording sheet that you'll need to have with you at the time of the conference. And I typically start out the conference by letting the student know that they're going to be reading with me today, and that I have my note-taking form that I will be writing on as they are reading. I tell them that this is I sometimes even show them that I have the same words as they have in their book, so that I can help keep my place, and then also so I can take those notes. I tell them this from the beginning, that way they know when I start writing what I'm doing, and it's not distracting after they start their assessment. After that, you're going to do a book introduction, and you will read this word by word. What are some things you like to play? Read this book called We Like to Play, about rabbits playing to see what they like to play. You'll notice that the book introduction is very intentional. Not only will it let them know the title of the book, but many times it will mention a word that they may typically not know at this level several times in the introduction, so that when they see it in the story, it gives them just that extra, support before they start. It also sometimes will give some background information that they may need to be able to read the book. So after that, they're going to start reading, and we'll have our imaginary reader here read, so I'll just let you know what they're saying. So, let's see, let me see. There we go. A little better. Okay. So, let's say they read, we like it kick. So my reader substituted the word it for to, so I've marked that with a line with the word that they substituted above it. Also, over here shows you some of the most common markings that you might need to use, so that is there that you can use. We like to hop around. So here not only do we have a substitution, but we had an insertion. Any word that they say that is not on in their book, you would mark with a caret and then insert the word. We say they said the word lick by accident one time, but then they remembered it was like, so they changed it and said like. We like to ride. You mark a self-correction with an SC, it's going to eliminate that error then. We'll just kind of mark it out. We like to ride. We like, let's say they forget to read this word, the word to, they do not say that. So you can either mark it by just putting the line and then no substitution up there, or you can put an O above it for an omission. It's going to count as an error. Let's say they sound this word out. Sw, sw. Then they get it. Swing. That's an accurate reading, but it does give you a little bit more information that they tried to sound that one out. We like to, let's say at this point, the student pauses, and is struggling. You can tell the student a word. It's going to count as an error, and you mark that as a T for a tell or a told. If a student asks you for help, you can still mark it as a told because you tell them, so it's going to be an error. You can also mark them as an A for an appeal. That just shows that they asked for help at that point. We like to, let's say they get here, and they're starting to pause with this word, and they decide they're going to repeat this and start back over. We like to draw. This doesn't count as an error or anything, but they mention it as one of the tips, so I just thought I'd show you that one. And then they finish this off strong, and they get all of their words correct. So I wanted to mention something as well. I marked my accurate reading with check marks. You do not have to do that. That is personal preference, and I typically do it with the, I can't keep up with the more fluent readers and the older kids, so I can't do it with them, but I typically do it when I can with kids, so that when I told them that I'm going to be making notes on their page right from the very beginning of that first word right out of the gate, I'm making marks. That way it's not as distracting down the page. So what I've noticed is if a kid is accurately reading, let's say they read all the way to page 5 accurately, and then they miss the word swing and I start to write it in, it kind of distracts them, gets them off track, and they've noticed I've written something down and they're always like, what did you write? What did I say? Is that wrong? Or they'll just kind of like, it will almost give them a hint that they need to try this word over again. So that's personal preference. Maybe to you it's more distracting to them to do the check mark. So just knowing the kiddos that you have in your room and knowing what you're comfortable with, you can choose to do the check marks or not, but it's completely optional. You do not have to. So then Scholastic normal in the directions will tell you that they want you to tally the errors and the self-corrections at this point. You can either do it now or wait till the very end. It really, for me, depends on how many there are. If there's one error, then it's pretty easy to total. But here may take some time, so I might wait till the very end of the conference to go back and total. But for now, we're just going to go ahead and do it right this second so I can show you where the errors are. Here is a substitution, one error. Here is another substitution plus an insertion. Self-correction doesn't count as an error, but it's noted. This was an omission. They forgot to read the word to. Remember, this is just when they sounded it out, but they got it correct, so that doesn't count as anything. Here was when we had to tell them a word. That is an error. This is a repetition. They repeated something. Doesn't count as anything, just some information for you. And then got all those correct. So, caught me doing my touch points just to make sure I didn't mess up my math on video. So then Scholastic does have these extra things that you can fill out for analysis. This is just so you can mark off some strategies that they used. If I noticed that the reader was looking at the pictures a lot, and then they did do a reread, I can mark there. This is when I'm going to go, if I go back to look at this to plan some instruction later, it helps remind me what I noticed them doing that isn't necessarily reflected on the running record. Sometimes they were monitoring. I am going to give them a 2 for fluency. There is a place for notes down here. Now I'm going to flip it over for the next part of the conference. So what you'll do next is you're going to ask the reader for a retelling. You'll just ask them, tell me what happened in this book. You can give some very basic prompts like, tell me more, and what else happened, to kind of promote that retell. After they're finished with their retelling, you're going to score it. And it will, from 1 to 5, it will give you some ideas on how to score what. So if they just mention the characters, give it a 2. If the problem was included, you're going to give it a 3. If it goes in sequence, beginning, middle, and end, to give it a 4. All those things, plus some personal thinking, give it a 5. So these are different, based on different books, so just make sure you kind of take note of that. I'm going to give my imaginary reader a 3, see what happens. So then you'll have several comprehension questions. There'll be a question, plus what answers you're looking for, and you're going to give them a score based on their responses. I'm going to just randomly score this and give them 1 full point and 2 half points. So then what I'm going to do next is I'm going to total up my question score, which is this. They have a 2. And my retelling score, which is a 3. Together, they're going to make a 5. So to come up with a level, I need 2 scores. I need my comprehension score, which is the 5, and I need my accuracy score, which is a 5. Then what you'll do is you will find where these 2 points intersect. And I have terrible lighting in my dining room, so it's hard to see, but they intersect here on this black box here, which anything in black is frustrational. So this book was too hard for this kiddo. Now granted, I was showing you all the markings, so that's why I had that many errors, but it ended up being frustrational. So that intersection point is how you're going to determine if something's independent, instructional, or frustration. This part right down here gives you like all the data in one place. So you'll get a level, plus you can also write your accuracy level, your comprehension score, and your fluency rating all in one place. But what's most important is find the intersection point, and that's where you know how you know their level. There are some other parts of this, or some of the other parts on this form that, like the notes, and if there's a notes part up here, plus these 2 boxes and the MS and V. Those really only come into play when a kiddo gets to their instructional level. So for this particular student that is scored in frustrational, I'm probably not going to take a lot of time to make notes because this book was way too hard for them. I need notes that will guide my instruction. So I'm going to wait until I find their instructional level in order to do that. And something to note, since it is a level A and it was frustrational, Scholastic does have a pre-A assessment in there. So if you do have students that score frustrational on level A, check that out. So you don't need to fill all this out for every single assessment you do, especially if it ends up in frustrational. I would kind of think more in this instructional level. What types of notes will that help plan your instruction? Because once you know their level, then you'll plan what strategies and what skills you need to work on with them at that level. And that's when all the other things can come into play. And then MS and V, we're not going to go through how to score those today. I would only take like maybe your ITI kiddos or your kids that are really stumping you through this whole process. This is even a deeper dive into the errors that they made beyond these extra note-taking places. So this wouldn't be for every student either. It's just to give that additional information to plan instruction. So I hope this was helpful getting started with the Scholastic Kit. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out and ask me or call me and I can help. And just let me know if you need anything else. Thanks, girls. Bye.